Hello and welcome to this program of School of Law. Today I will talk about the role of International Committee of Red Cross, that is ICRC, in the area of international law, international humanitarian law. And this topic is covered in our certificate in international humanitarian law program, and it is covered in course 2, that is the course code is BLE 036, and this is a 6-month program, 6-month duration program, and currently it is offered in English, and admissions are open, so you can enroll in this program if you are interested. International humanitarian law basically deals with the rules of protection of those who are not participating in the war. In fact, it makes a distinction between the person who are directly participating in armed conflict and people who are not directly participating in armed conflict, and also are you can say permissible if armed conflict occurs. Permissible in the sense that other types of weapons are prohibited, such as weapons of mass destruction, chemical weapons, biological weapons, nuclear weapons. So these are prohibited. So in that sense, you can say that these types of weapons or methods of warfare are permissible, but it is the purpose of international law that if you see the Charter of the United Nations, then it says that the state shall settle their disputes by peaceful means. But we have seen that armed conflict occur. So whatever best protection can be made available to civilians and armed personnel who are not directly participating in the conflict is the purpose of international humanitarian law. So International Committee of the Red Cross was established in 1863. A person named Henry Dumont, who saw the war in Europe, Italy, and he saw that a lot of people were injured, and they needed a kind of help, and there was nobody to support them, to assist them, and so he realized that some kind of arrangement needs to be made for these kinds of situations. So later, because of his efforts, International Committee of Red Cross was established, and Article 5 of the statutes of the ICRC states that the role of the ICRC is to undertake the tasks incumbent upon it under the Geneva Conventions of 1949, and in 1949 there were other Geneva Conventions also. Some of the conventions came into existence in in 19th century itself, but now it is the entire you can say the most part of international humanitarian law is governed by the four conventions of 1949, and these conventions mainly deal with the armed conflict in land, armed conflict in the sea, and protection to shipwrecked persons, injured persons, and third convention is related to the prisoners of war, related to civilian protection, protection of civilians during armed conflict. And there are two additional protocols which came into existence in 1977 to enhance the protection available in these conventions. First protocol deals with the international armed conflict which takes place between the states, and protocol 2 deals with non-international armed conflict which takes place within the state. In 2005, another protocol came into existence which recognizes crystal as one of the symbols apart from besides the Red Cross and Red Crescent. The International Committee of the Red Cross has a very important role to play in the area of international law. It mainly assists the people who persons who are not, as I mentioned, people who are not directly participating in the armed conflict, and it also there are a number of functions which the International Committee of Red Cross has to perform, and it is an independent organization, and it is considered to be an impartial organization, and it provides assistance for the victims of war and armed violence. And when we talk about the mandate of the ICRC, it humanitarian law and its implementation in national law. And another function is to protect the lives and dignity of victims of armed conflict and violence, and to provide them with assistance. The ICRC's mission statement, if you go through, says that the International Committee of the Red Cross is an impartial, neutral, and independent organization whose humanitarian mission is to protect the lives and dignity of victims of armed conflict and other situations of violence, and to provide them with assistance. This is the mandate of the International Committee of the Red Cross. Now, International Committee has the Red Cross has presence in all the countries. It has a national missions, national offices in all the in most of the countries. Uh, the ICRC also uh, endeavors to prevent uh, suffering by promoting and strengthening humanitarian law and universal humanitarian principles. In simple words, we can say that the International Committee of the Red Cross promotes the enactment of law in the in the domestic enactment of domestic laws in the country, conventions and additional protocols, and to make laws of the country in conformity with these principles. And one of the activities of the ICRC is to awareness exercises. It supports the curriculum of various universities. It helps in designing curriculum of universities, which for teaching international humanitarian law to the students, armed personals, to create to sensitize them and to create awareness about the principles of international humanitarian law. So, with regard to monitoring function, whenever there are serious and large-scale violations of international humanitarian law, the law itself tends to get the blame. Such violations should, of course, allows the international community to take action against the in case of violation of these rights, these principles. Now, another important function of the International Committee of the Red Cross is to catalyst function. It acts as catalyst to promote the respect for the laws for the respect of international humanitarian law. It is not sufficient simply to take note of the problems of application of international humanitarian law. These conferred these must be encouraged. There should be effort, and there should be measures to encourage to think about the ways of dealing with such problems. This second function, that is catalyst function, is in a way a corollary to of the first function, that is monitoring function. Now, with regard to promotion functions, the main role of the International Committee of Red Cross is to promote the ratification of international conventions and to convince the party and the states to enact laws in conformity with the in conformity with the international humanitarian law. Now, with regard to guardian angel function, this is also very important. The International Committee acts as a watchdog over the laws, and it sees, it monitors, or it takes account of where the violations are taking place, and makes efforts to, in a way, to promote the observance of international humanitarian law. And this function is also connected with the monitoring function of the ICRC, and it promotes the activity, but it has also critics which says that the ICRC has not been able to, in a way, in some cases had not been very effective. But the fact is that within the limitations which the International Committee of the Red Cross has, because it has to maintain, in law we say the justice must not only be done, but it must appear to be done. So we can say that ICRC has to be impartial. It should appear to all the parties that it is an impartial body. So within that limitations, it tries to mitigate the sufferings to the victims of our conflict. Now, with regard to direction functions, the ICRC visits prisons to ensure that the prisoners of war are detained in acceptable conditions and can communicate with their families, and it also helps to care for the wounded and endeavors to protect the entire civilian population from the effects of hostilities, because civilian peoples are generally affected when armed conflict takes place. Though they are not directly involved in the hostilities, they are subjected to various kinds of sufferings, armed attacks on civilian population, hospitals, schools, colleges, dispensaries. And when the area is under the occupation of the enemy country, in that situation also they have to suffer on various counts. So this is also the function of the ICRC, to ensure that these things do not happen. So watchdog function is also related to the earlier function. The ICRC sees that the work the ICRC sees that the parties to the armed conflict abide by the rules of international humanitarian law. It cannot prevent the hostilities, but it at best it can ensure that the parties do not indulge themselves in unnecessary to the people, to the persons who are not directly participating in the armed conflict, whether they are civilians or prisoners of war, or the people who are sick or injured, or people who are involved in providing medical facilities, providing logistical support, etc. So, with this, we come to the end of this presentation. Today, I tried to see in the application or in the implementation of international humanitarian